Bulls worldwide are right now running, jumping, and crying as they leap into their mother's arms. As Bitcoin has just printed a candle so big, so important, you might let out a tiny squeal when you understand exactly what it means. Right now, the price of Bitcoin is doing something, quite frankly, very big. So we're not going to waste any time, and we're just going to dump right into it. So if getting dumped on has quickly become something you not only accept as necessary, but also have begun to enjoy maybe a little too much, hit that like, hit that subscribe, get signed up to FEMX or BINGX below for my Bitcoin or altcoins. And without any further ado, let's absolutely dump into these charts. We all know, basically over the weekend, we got news that potentially we're on the verge of some sort of conflict, in the Middle East. What else is new? Conflict in the Middle East. I never heard that before. So that's realistic, and Bitcoin was the only thing trading over the weekend when this kind of news broke. I believe it was either Friday night or Saturday. And with that being said, it definitely spooked the Bitcoin markets. And now as we saw the stock markets, begin trading today, you can see we have the stock market also spooked. However, that is a insanely important thing you want to factor in. In fact, probably the biggest, right? Global conflict, potential war is a very, very important, completely unignorable, and potentially devastating, tragedy event thing, right? You have to factor into analysis as well. But aside from that, as I've been saying for weeks, what is happening to Bitcoin specifically right now is, we just got another big confirmation of it. And I want to talk exactly about that. So you look on the daily chart for Bitcoin, you look, let's say, for example, the 4-hour chart, this symmetrical triangle. So what I said, I believe I said it on about April 7th, so a little over a week ago, I said in symmetrical triangles, and I've said this many times, in fact, many times over the past 7 years, very often the very first breakout they have is a fake out, meaning you're in a triangle, you break out, and then usually that direction you initially break out is a fake out, and we end up swinging the other way. So here we are, fast forward, we had that initial breakout to the upside, and exactly as we talked about, we had to swing the other direction. Now, it wasn't guaranteed, or in my opinion, it was still very neutral overall if this pattern was going to face a big rejection or not. However, what we see that it was just printed just hours ago is actually very telling. On the 4-hour chart, we came exactly back up to this resistance. Well, it was support, now it is resistance since we failed to break above it, and we got a swift rejection. Now, this could turn very big, okay? This is a thesis I've been talking about for the past few weeks, and I want to expand on it, and what we have to watch for this to be confirmed. But if we look at the daily chart, for example, the Bollinger Bands are no longer as tight as they were. They're actually starting to untighten. Why is that? Well, because Bitcoin has finally broken out of this range. It just so happens this range is to the downside. So are we about to see a very volatile move to the downside for Bitcoin? I personally think it's absolutely possible. Last time I made a video, Bitcoin was at 70K or something, and I was saying that I think we might get a breakdown, or I think it was around 68K. And then within 5 minutes of posting the video, we started just dumping massively. It was this day. I think I posted on Saturday. Yeah, or it was Friday, one of these 2 days. And we started dumping minutes after posting. I remember posting the video and then looking at the chart, and I was thinking, holy cow, it just started breaking down. Anyway, so now though, what's happened is that on the 50-day moving average, remember we broke the 21-day moving average on Friday, 3 days ago. Now we're below the 50-day moving average, but what's bigger than that is we came up to it just today after having a pretty green candle yesterday. We came up to it today, and so far it has gotten rejected. Now you absolutely want to wait for a daily candle close, which you haven't gotten yet. We need some daily confirmations. But this, to me, indicates that potentially, as I've been saying for the last few weeks, this could be the potential beginning of a multi-week dumpy, a multi-week downtrend for Bitcoin. As I've also been saying many, many times over the past few weeks, this Bitcoin halving very often is a sell the news event. I personally think that if we dump into the halving and maybe trade even lower and sideways after the halving, ultimately I think we're going much, much higher after that. But as I've been saying, I think that this could easily be a sell the news event, just like the Bitcoin spot ETFs were a sell the news event, where I've showed this a million times, but ETFs got approved right here. Okay, approved right here, multiple weeks of dumping, and then it became very bullish. But again, as I keep repeating, if you watch these videos, you might be getting tired of me saying this, but it's a very important point. We might continue to dump here into the halving and post-halving, which the halving is only a couple days away now. And, maybe you have to find support down here at the 100-day moving average, or even I'll show on a weekly chart a different target. And then ultimately, I think we're going to glide upward for most of this year. But I think this is still going to be, to me, as I've been saying, there is still no signs that we've reversed yet. In fact, all indications are showing us that we're actually going to probably go lower. So if you've ever watched my videos and you say, oh, I'm only a moon boy, well, here I am. I can't make this any clearer. I'm straight up saying this to me looks like the beginning of a longer dump. We look at the shorter time frames. That's on this 4-hour chart. You see those are some initial indications. You go to the daily chart. You can see, okay, momentum is still getting rejected on something like the MACD. RSI is still trending down. Bollinger Bands are actually starting to expand as we get dumped out of this range. We got a rejection on the 21-day moving average. Now, if we get a daily close where we're at right now, we're also getting a daily rejection on the 50-day moving average. We can even move to something like the weekly chart where this last weekly candle was not very bullish. We're getting very close to a MACD bearish cross on the weekly chart for Bitcoin. So, I mean, how many things do I really have to highlight to make a case, hey, this looks like we're probably going to trend downwards? And what I've been saying for literally weeks is if we come down to this 21-week moving average, that is a bullish pullback. So even in the short term, which could be the next few weeks, if we continue to get dumped on and dumped on and dumped on in a wider context, that is still a healthy pullback. It happens in every bull market that we've ever seen for Bitcoin. So this is not unusual. As I said also in the last video, currently, and I actually am curious what this is now because I haven't done it in a couple days. So Bitcoin is down 13% roughly from its all-time highs. If we would get a typical pullback of about 20 to 30%, we could very easily see $50,000 per Bitcoin. Okay. Look around you. Look at the sentiment. I've honestly been pretty busy, so I haven't been on Twitter or YouTube that much, and I haven't really been following sentiment. But what is the sentiment? Honestly, I'm kind of curious what people are feeling. Whatever it is right now, it will be much worse if we drop another $14,000 to $50K. Right now we're at 63, 64K. If we drop another $10,000 plus to 50,000, maybe a little higher, maybe a little lower, sentiment will be pretty bad. People will be very bearish. But all I'm telling you is I'm telling you in advance that that's a healthy pullback. I'm telling you these targets potentially days or weeks before it might happen. Okay. And yeah, I mean, realistically, weekly chart, weekly chart MACD, yeah, it looks like this could very easily, this looks to me like it is trying to break down here. And especially in the short term, we have a fundamental reason why it might be, which is fears over a war. The stock market has lost its 21 and 50-day moving averages. We have to keep in mind where its moving average 21 week is all the way down a little under 5,000. So a decent, what percent is that? Another 2 or so percent for the stock market is very possible in the short term. Quite honestly, moves like that can happen in, just days or even a day if it becomes a real dump. DXY is still moving up on this news and continuing to move up with the idea of fewer or no rate cuts this year. So the dollar is moving up right now. And altcoins will continue to get absolutely banged if Bitcoin continues to move down here. Okay, that's the main story, is that for every percent that Bitcoin goes down, you can realistically expect altcoins to go down 3 to 5%, depending on which altcoin. Just in general, every percent Bitcoin drops, expect altcoins to drop more. What is today? Bitcoin's down about 3% at the time of recording. A lot of these top alts are down anywhere from 3 to 7 to 8%. There's like 1 or 2 altcoins that at this very second are down less than Bitcoin. But for the most part, most of them are down more. And if we get a substantial drop, if we actually get a drop down to this 100-day moving average around 56, 57, between the $56,000 to $58,000 range, or if we get a drop down to the low 50s, you better believe these altcoins will be on a fire sale. Now, I want to reiterate, because I've been talking this whole video about bearish pullback targets. I want to reiterate, just so I'm clear, just so everyone's not confused, I'm extremely bullish on this market. This market has been very overheated, however, and as I've been saying for weeks, if we get a multi-week dump, if we get a real pullback and a real test of some of these lower weekly moving averages, like the 21-week moving average all the way down here around 50,000, that is very healthy consolidation. It's constructive price action. And as everyone knows by this point, or you should know, the Bitcoin halvings are a very bullish event for the price, but not short term. I don't think there's ever been a Bitcoin halving where Bitcoin was rallying as we had the halving. Usually Bitcoin always dumps into the halving, and then the results of the supply halving are what then, historically at least, I guess we'll have another test to see if it's accurate or not, have then initiated Bitcoin to go on, multi-month massive bull runs months after the halving. Okay. So far everything is going exactly as you would expect it to be. There is quite honestly not a single reason to be fearful in this market. I personally am very interested, if we get this continued dump, to, again, put as much, I'm pretty much, as I've been saying, I'm pretty much all in on this market, but every dollar that I get, I'm more and more interested in buying more the lower we go. Okay. But as to summarize, I personally think that yes, this could be the beginning of a real drop. This could be the beginning of a giga red candle. Okay. I'm talking about a massive daily red candle, one of those quick dumps where you look at the chart and your soul almost leaves your body, where you're just kind of like shocked, right? I'm saying we could see one of those movements here. The Bollinger Bands are starting to also indicate that. This could very quickly turn into a big dump. Bitcoin is already down 13% from its all-time highs. But imagine if we dump 10 to 15% in a single day, okay? So what I'm saying is, look at this chart. Do you see how, Bitcoin topped out right here back in middle of March, so March 14th? And then over the past month, we have trended down, but it's been mostly sideways, right? All of the fear you felt in all these candles, imagine if we had a candle this big in a single day. Those are the kind of candles that shake people out, that indicate, that have the potential to indicate bottoms of downtrends, meaning sometimes before we actually, because in my opinion now, we're in a downtrend in the short term. We're no longer in an uptrend in the short term. It looks like this is a downtrend. Now, how do we reverse from this downtrend to an uptrend? A lot of the times what happens is we get one of these massive shakeout, destructive candles. Just like if you're looking for a top of a market, you look for those massive blow off top candles, right? Many times, and you can you can just go back on any of these charts, many times to indicate a top, you see Bitcoin just go explosively to the upside. And then just like that indicates then, or like many rallies top out with a massive bullish candle that looks like, wow, we're going to go up forever. And then it turns out we don't go up forever. And the same exact thing here. If we get one of these massive dumpy candles, a lot of people will think, oh, we're going down forever. But what that can very likely indicate is, oh, actually, bottom is in. And get sent to FEMX or BINGX below if you want to buy Bitcoin or altcoins. Without any further ado,